Hello, in this video we're going to discuss how to configure DS Lite or Dual-Stack Lite on top of Spirent Test Center. Here we have Spirent Test Center and we're going to configure DS Lite. Now there's no technology selector items that you have to select. It's an inherent part of the device and topology emulation inside of Spirent Test Center. So what I have here is I have the emulation of the B4 router, which is the CPE device, and the far side of the after router. The after router itself is a carrier grade NAT device, which basically tunnels and detunnels IPv4 inside of IPv6. So in DS Lite, the entire service provider network is IPv6, and private NATed addresses from the private cloud of the subscribers are basically NATed through a carrier grade NAT, sharing a few IP addresses out to the public internet, thus conserving IPv4 addresses and spaces. So the first thing you do to set up the DS Lite inside of Spirent Test Center is to realize we don't actually emulate the after router, which is generally the device under test, but we emulate everything around the after router. So we will emulate the mobile IPv core, which allows you to backhaul the traffic to appropriate places. So that may be clear, it may be MPLS, it may be whatever it may be. We also emulate the B4 router, which are the service provider and the access portion of the network. Okay, so what I do is for each one of my service providers, I set up basically two interfaces. So one interface is the side that faces the service provider network, and that's IPv6. So that's actually going to be this interface here. And you can see on that interface, I actually have my IPv6 configured on this guy. The other interface on my CPE is the IPv4 address, and this is going to be your private NATed address inside of the CPE. So this will be your 10 network or 192.168 network, and this is obviously configured for my appropriate IPv4 address. Okay. Now with this, of course, what you can do is you can make the device count larger or smaller here for the interface, as well as for the number of devices, v4 devices that are sitting behind the DS Lite router. Okay, so once you do this, now what you're going to do is you're going to place each one of these devices with an appropriate link class inside of Spirent topology emulation. So the side that's actually facing the v6 network, you use a v6 transition link from IPv4 backend host, and on the private cloud, you use the v6 transition link to CE cloud. Finally, you come over here to create links and you place the v4 backend host behind the CE interface using topology emulation. Now I come over here to my DS Lite and I configure it. So on my interface that's actually facing the v6 cloud, what I'm going to do is configure the after v6 address and the after IPv4 address, and I activate it. Okay, so at this point, all you have to do is just apply. And now you can go ahead and start traffic. So here you see my traffic is actually going. This is on my receive side. I only have traffic going in one direction in this example, but here you can see things like my latencies, my sequencing. Now, given the complexity that you're going across a NAT carrier grade router, you're going across a CPE, you're doing some some encapsulations and some NAT lookup based on the UDP, TCP, IPv6, and IPv4 address inside of the carrier grade NAT. There's quite a bit of potential for loss of performance for QoS. So what makes this really great with Spirent Test Center is the fact that you can still measure all of your quality of service and quality of experience, end to end, and not just on the far side of the after router, but potentially much farther in, be it a virtual endpoint or be it an MPLS routed based network. Okay, so The other thing to note too is that if you're going across a real device under test, you can also put ALP endpoints such as video, voice, DPG, or mix them with streams. This is really important because these are the key industry test cases right now, is to put video over DS Lite. So you definitely want to set that up. You can't demonstrate that back to back because we're not actually emulating the after router, but it'll definitely work when you're going across a real DS Lite after router. So this is DS Lite inside of Spire Test Center. Thank you.